Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
I am angry. Not really. But I want to talk about anger. It's not that I have never been angry. I've never had angry outbursts. I have. Shamefully, I have. I think we probably all have, if we're honest with ourselves. We all deal with all sorts of ranges of emotion: anger, sadness, happiness, fear. We're all only human. And the reason I say that is not that I have some sort of great empirical evidence to demonstrate that. I certainly am. I'm a sample size of one, and I can speak for myself. But I've had conversations with other people who they seem unflappable, and you just in a quiet moment say, okay, just have you ever been angry? And they'll laugh. Yeah. I just think there are people who are better at controlling it than others. I'm better at controlling it than I once was. Not as good as I would like to be. But we all are prone to angry outbursts. And there's a program about relationships and networking. And we're seldom angry at things. Generally it's anger towards other people. And I won't name names, but something over the weekend happened where somebody was driving to a particular city and somebody said, "Oh yeah, great, here's the way to go." And that person took the way, thinking what they took was the way, and actually took the wrong way, not the entirely wrong way, but basically missed one key piece of information. Or maybe it wasn't conveyed, I don't know, but ended up driving 6 hours out of their way, basically doubling their trip. And they were texting me, and they were angry, and they finally found their way. And this is somebody who is not normally, very happy-go-lucky person. And again, I'm not going to get into names here. He or she would be mortified if I were sharing this, so I'm not going to. And then ultimately the person realized, I probably should have, I should have looked at the map before I went, as opposed to just going off of, just general instruction that somebody had given me. And so we're all prone to anger, and that anger can certainly disrupt our relationships. I don't know, with this particular incident that I'm referring to, if those two people spoke, if there was anger, what came of that. Maybe it got cooled down at some point. There's just, we can all laugh about things later. But anyhow, we all deal with anger. And so I've stumbled across some different studies out there talking about anger and how to deal with anger. Because we all experience it. We all get riled up. And I'll speak for myself, get angry. People say things to me, I'll tell myself stories. It's, I get angry. And I try to deal with it better, count to 10. But what are some ways to dealing with anger? People will, there are certainly, counting to 10 is certainly one. With some of the things that people will say is, well, go. Remember, I talked to a friend. He bought his wife a punching bag, to hit a punching bag. There are things out there called rage rooms where people can go in there and they can smash things in order to get their anger out. Go for a workout, go for a run. And what study shows are those things don't work. Those things don't work because, or like yelling into a pillow, it doesn't work. Because reducing anger, what the research shows, requires that you decrease arousal. You decrease, and that's the academic term. Um, hyping it up, screaming into a pillow doesn't um, doesn't temper your emotions. You're not burning them out. You're just uh, you're putting gasoline on the fire is really what you're doing. And so venting and going for a run, those are all things that physiologically are raising your mood, and it's not helping you reduce your anger, to deal with your anger. It's hurting it. And maybe I'm only talking to myself here, but to me, this is interesting. You know, Venting doesn't help. But what does help? There are different techniques out there. And before we're done, this is my little tease to keep you hanging on. There is a study out there that shows you how you can stop anger just like that, just done. But there are techniques out there, counting to 10, deep breathing. 10 is not a high enough number often. Um, but things that are relaxation oriented, meditation, not mediation, meditation, um, some forms of yoga, slow flow yoga. Some I've never done yoga. My former assistant Mary, she was a yoga instructor, and is very versed on yoga. And there are lots of different. She would explain there are lots of different types of yoga, and so yoga's you know some is more intense than others. Slow flow yoga is more calming. Muscle relaxation. Um, Taking a time out. Uh, you know, um, I've yeah, right now I'm somewhat angry. My mower at my office is broken, and I've got somebody come out and fix it. And he's being very very helpful for me, and I'm trying to be patient. Um, but I want to get on the mower and mow because that's a way for me to kind of work things out in my head. It's a riding mower, so there's really not much exercise to it. It's just kind of um, being lost in the moment. And it only takes me about an hour or so. If I do it slow, maybe an hour and a half. But it's useful for me to kind of work out any sort of anger. And there's always something that's ruffling our feathers, or at least ruffling my feathers, and I just need to sort it out. And I find that doing something, well, it's quiet in the sense that it's white noise. I have earphones on, or um, headphones, so I can't really hear a whole lot. Um, but it allows me to kind of be quiet in thought and to really kind of work through problems. And a lot of times, working through problems and reducing our anger so we can deal with people more effectively is to um, is just to kind of assess, is it, am I telling myself a story? And even if I'm not telling myself a story, is this really that big of a deal? What's the worst possible thing that can happen from this? Yeah, probably not a lot. Maybe your pride gets hurt, but probably not a whole lot can happen from that. Um, and so, just to, again, we're in relationships. Relationships get sideways. Personal relationships get sideways. It's every marriage, every marital type relationship has those moments where things are not, the honeymoon's over, right? And that's going to happen. We're not all totally in lockstep. And if you're going to tell me that your relationship's that way, you know, I'm not going to call you a liar. It's going to be hard for me to believe that that's the situation. But certainly marital relationships, friendships, get turned on their ear from time to time. Issues in business get turned on their ear from time to time. And these are relationships we need to hang on to. I mean, it's easy to be mad at somebody we're never going to see again and just kind of walk away and be done with it. But for the most part, a lot of people are just in our lives, and we need to work through these things. But as far as a technique or a way of eliminating anger, there was a study that was done, and this is where somebody gets angry at me because I cannot pronounce the name. I'm going to try here. Nobayuki Kawai. It's Japanese. It's Shibu University in Japan, and he's part of the Academy of Emerging Science there, and he's in the Department of Cognitive and Psychological Sciences. Anyhow, did a study, and what they did was they got people angry. They got people angry. They had people express an opinion on something, and then they berated people based on their opinion. That's a dumb opinion. I can't believe you have that opinion. How'd you get into this university? And that, of course, it's a personal attack that's going to make somebody angry. Maybe someone more than others, but it made people angry. And so what they had them do was they had them write down their feelings, made them ruminate on it, really think about it, write them down, what that made them feel like. And then some of the group, what they had them do was dispose of their thoughts, basically either shred what they had written down or just throw it in the trash can. And what they found is that the people that wrote it down and just threw it away, shredded it, it's just that act helped them just dissipate the anger. Whereas the people who kept that writing around, that whatever sheet of paper, I doubt it was a 2-page typewritten paper, but the people who carried that around, it just carried it around as a reminder of their anger. So just a quick little thought, something you can do. We all deal with anger. We all have relationships. The anger is going to happen. Write down the things that perhaps make you angry, or why you're, it's not what makes you angry, but how you're feeling, and throw the piece of paper away. Just deal with it, relax, and just move on. Chances are the people in your life are there for a reason, and it's for a good reason, and it's not always going to work out. It's not always going to be positive, I should say. It all works out in the end if you want. You can't get rid of these challenging moments. You have to just deal with them. You have to learn to work through them. And anger a lot of times can derail relationships. It makes people uncomfortable. And so you need to try and temper that anger however you choose to do it. But the research is pretty clear. Venting doesn't work. Punching a bag doesn't work. A rage room doesn't work. Mindfulness, working out doesn't work. Going for a run doesn't work. Just relaxing, taking 20 minutes and just saying, okay. Taking an hour, riding mower, it works. Maybe getting in the car for a quick trip around town. Although depending upon traffic, that can make you more angry. Just writing a quick memo to yourself as to why you feel the way you feel, and then just think on that and get rid of it and move on, because you need the relationships, you need the people in your life.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.